Today I have one of my favorite DIYs because it's a budget DIY. I'm using Dollar Tree supplies to create these really cool spooky candles. These are battery operated candles. They started out plain cream. I'm doing napkin decoupage with these Dollar Tree napkins. I'm using some chalk paint and I'm doing a really cool technique to get that melted drippy look, using a little bit of that treasure gold to add a little gold. Black and gold is so popular for Halloween. Let's get started with this DIY. I'm Cathie and this is Make It with Mod Podge. I picked up the candles and the napkins at Dollar Tree. I love these napkins because they are reversible. They're double-sided, and that is so cool for flipping the image. First, you're just gonna open up your napkin and prep it by separating the plies. We're only using the top printed ply. And then this is water. I'm just painting water along the edge there, and then I'm tearing it. That's gonna give it a feathered edge, and it's gonna blend in with the candle better that way. Gonna go ahead and feather up a little bit more of this image. Again, that's just some water there. Okay, I've got my napkins all prepped out. I'm gonna use Mod Podge Satin for this project, and I'm just painting it right onto my little faux candle. And I'm gonna spritz my napkin with a little bit of water, just a fine mist, and that will help with wrinkles. You can see I'm easily just putting it right onto the candle, into that Mod Podge that's on there. You have a little bit of time to wiggle it into position. You can even lift it a little bit. Just be gentle because it is a thin napkin and it is damp at this point. If you didn't have water on hand or a spritz bottle, it's fine. You can put it down without the misting. And then you can cut off or wrap around any of the extra to the bottom. You can see I'm gonna add a little bit of our skulls here, again, giving it a mist. This candle is a little bit shorter, so I'm having to manipulate the napkin a little bit different. But you can see it's really easy to do. And you're gonna use your fingers and the brush to smooth out any wrinkles. You're always gonna have a little bit of wrinkles. It's almost impossible not to with napkin decoupage. I personally like a little bit of the wrinkles because it shows that it's handmade, but some people really don't like them. I'm gonna add a little bit more there, and now let's cut that top off, have a nice clean finished edge. Once this is dry for about 20 minutes, you're gonna top coat over the whole image using that same Mod Podge Satin formula. And once that's dry, you can go ahead and start adding your faux drippy candle. So this is just hot glue, and I'm starting at the top and pooling up a bunch of it and then just kind of letting it drip down. I'm gonna put the candle upright for a minute and let that drip down. I'm gonna work all the way around the candle one time, and then once it's dry, or cool, I should say, I'm gonna repeat that and add more on the top layer of that. And then I'm gonna go around the very top edge and add more of the hot glue there. Next, I'm going to paint the whole thing with some FolkArt Home Decor chalk in black. You could use any color here. I just wanted to go for some Halloween ones. I'm using a spouncer to add the chalk, but I'm using a detail paintbrush to go in and get the black chalk paint in between those little pieces of the hot glue that's dripping down. The spouncer brush is going to give a nice sort of filled in look. It's not going to have brush strokes. So I even go over my brushstroke parts with more of that. Pouncing, I should say. And then I'm just gonna paint the top too. Just painting the whole thing black. Next, I wanna highlight it with some Treasure Gold. I'm gonna pour a little bit of this out, and less is more here. You're not gonna use very much at all. I'm gonna use a spouncer brush again. If you had a makeup brush or anything like that, that would work. And then we're just tapping it lightly on the top of those drips. I'm barely touching, and tapping it along the bottom edge. And it's really that simple. Look how gorgeous and spooky these turn out. I just love this Dollar Tree makeover. Thanks so much for joining me today on Make It with Mod Podge. Now, I did this for a Halloween look, but of course you could do this concept with napkins on these battery candles for any holiday season or decor. I'll be back here next week with another fun project to share with you, and until then, have a super crafty week. Bye.